coaches, man. You guys did it all. I mean, I really didn't do shit.
Ooh, welcome to That's Good Sports. I'm your football host, Brandon. I don't care what Tom Brady does. I'm never retiring Perna. In the least surprising news of the NFL offseason, a 69-year-old head coach with a history of health issues decided to step down from coaching and take on a much easier front office job that probably pays just as much. I'm of course talking about Bucs head coach Bruce Arians, although I'm sure Seahawks fans wish this was Pete Carroll. Jim Irsay is my new favorite NFL owner because he speaks the truth. I will tell you why Taysom Hill won't work as a tight end, and the clips from the Deshaun Watson deposition have been released, and they are not doing the Browns any favors.
Can't answer that. I have a girlfriend, so that wasn't my attention.
Ooh, all of that on my YouTube show. Today we're gonna talk about it. That's good sports. Hey, please subscribe to this YouTube channel for football videos. And hey, you want some coffee? You want to buy some of my coffee? Benchwarmer Brew, benchwarmerbrew.com. Shit's real good. Also, big thank you to everyone who showed up for the Patreon Zoom meeting last night. Let me be genuine for a second here. One of the only reasons I keep doing Patreon is for our monthly hangouts for all $10 and above Patreon donors. I enjoy hanging out and chatting with everyone. We talked for almost 3 hours last night. I appreciate all of you who show up. If you want to do that, you can do it at patreon.com/thatsgoodsports. No pressure. Also available for all YouTube members in the $10 and above tier. And I will have Patreon shoutouts for new Patreons at the end of today's episode. But last night after the Zoom, I was like, you know what? I'm really fucking lucky that I get to just shoot the shit with people who enjoy this show. And I was very grateful, very grateful. So shout out to all of you who make me feel better about me. On to the jokes about football. Tampa Bay Buccaneers head coach Bruce Arians has stepped away from coaching after 47 years of coaching experience at the NFL and college level.
Great 3 years. When you know it's time, it's time.
I think this guy would fucking disagree. Arians' successor has been named, and it's defensive coordinator Todd Bowles, who gets his second head coaching job and a new 5-year contract as head coach. This is a double win for NFL diversity, considering the NFL added a very qualified black head coach and removed the one coach whose last name is literally a white supremacist prison gang, the Aryan Brotherhood. Wait, what? Oh, I'm sorry, it's spelled different, with the Y, Aryan with the Y. So, Bruce Arians was never a prison gang leader? Good, that's actually good. That's very, very good. I always was conflicted. That makes more sense. All joking aside, Bruce should be credited for hiring a diverse coaching staff. A lack of diversity on NFL coaching staffs has been one of the big issues creating the shortfall of minority head coaching candidates. Bruce was also the first head coach to hire a woman as a position coach in the NFL. I also believe Tampa Bay got a great head coach in Todd Bowles, who was probably better at his job than he got credit for during his run with the Jets. Especially if you look at what happened after he left. Now, Bowles has a real quarterback for the first time, a dominant defense that he crafted, and Ndamukong Suh begging to come back and play for him. And Bowles has a real chance to be head coaching in a Super Bowl at the end of next season. But with this whole situation, here's what smells like bullshit to me. Are we really supposed to believe that Bruce Arians is this nice and this thoughtful? The dude who cut a player for parking in his parking spot suddenly decided to hand the team over to Todd Bowles so Todd didn't have to go to another Jets-like situation? Now, I don't want to get into conspiracies, but we know Tom Brady and Bruce Arians, didn't see eye to eye all the time, and you would think a quarterback deciding to unretire might be a little bit upset about his coach leaving suddenly. But instead, Tom had a perfectly crafted Instagram post that went up minutes after the news broke. To me, it feels like part of the reason Tom Brady came back was because they made an agreement that Bruce would take on a different role within the team, and Bruce agreed as Tampa would make it look like he selflessly gave this amazing opportunity to Todd Bowles. If Tom left New England because he was done with Bill Belichick, then yes, I can believe he forced Bruce Arians out in Tampa. His retirement was a leverage play, and now he and Byron Leftwich can work together unhindered by old man Bruce fucking with their game plan while Todd Bowles does what he does best, lead with a quiet confidence.
We're going to be fast, we're going to be physical, and we're going to be smart, and it's paid off. Mostly I got to thank the coaches, man. You guys did it all. I mean, I really didn't do shit.
Believe whatever you want to believe. One thing I know for sure, Bruce Arians is cool as hell. I mean, look, he's got his cigar waiting to be smoked in his front pocket. Yet, there's an even cooler coach in the state of Florida, and his name is Mike McDaniel. And that's why Bruce Arians knew it was his time to get out. So,
we're going to start with scoring more points than the opponent.
Wow!
Holy shit. Oh no.
You are changing the game.
Changing the game
Yeah.
through math.
now one reason Bruce may have retired is because the NFL finally changed the overtime rules for the postseason. Bruce was like, you know what? I'm not learning another new set of rules for this stupid game. Now this rule change only applies to the postseason, but now both teams will get a possession in overtime, even if the team who gets the ball first scores a touchdown. If both teams score a touchdown, then it becomes a game of sudden death, unless the first score is a safety, which would end the game. Now, as Adam Schefter pointed out, over the last 10 years, the team that wins the coin toss in overtime has a 10-2 record in the postseason, so the NFL felt like this change was needed. And now it kind of seems like kicking off instead of receiving might be an advantage. I'm glad that this adds an extra layer of strategy to the overtime coin toss. Before now, you just take the ball no matter what, but with a guaranteed possession, you have to think about the conditions, the wind, how tired your defense is, and what kind of game it's been in general. And we know for sure some head coaches choke anytime they are asked to do critical thinking during a game. I won't mention anyone specific. Colts team owner Jim Irsay is, quote, extremely grateful to the football gods to have Matt Ryan instead of Carson Wentz. I like that Irsay mentioned football gods and not God, and I think it's because Jim realized the real God doesn't care about his team. Carson Wentz and Frank Reich are two of the most religious men in the NFL, so if that union didn't work with God, the Colts may be smited. Irsay stated at the league meetings this last week that it was very obvious the Colts had to move on from Carson Wentz. Ron Rivera chimed in and was like, wait, is Carson Wentz bad? Well, he's not good, Ron, and the more anyone from the Colts organization talks about Carson Wentz, the more it looks like the Commanders got fleeced. The poor Jaguars got caught in the shrapnel from Irsay's evisceration of Wentz, who said, no disrespect to Jacksonville, but I mean, they're the worst team in the league. I've never heard an owner throw another team under the bus like that. I love people who say no disrespect and then say something completely disrespectful thinking that gives them a pass. No disrespect, Chris Rock, but I am slapping you in the face right now. If the worst team in the league beats you by 2 touchdowns, what does that make you? It makes you the team that needs to use Carson Wentz as a scapegoat, and I think a little bit of that's happening here. Irsay went on to call the Wentz era a mistake he couldn't wait to fix. No disrespect. And the fit wasn't right, and it was important for us to move in a different direction. No disrespect. It was very obvious Carson Wentz had to go. Ron Rivera added, quote, "Aw, fuck." And to be fair to the Commanders, there is hope for their new QB. Sure, he's been described as a locker room cancer. Well, Ron Rivera already kicked cancer's ass once, so if anyone can turn Wentz around, I believe it is Ron Rivera. The Saints signed quarterback Andy Dalton and are planning on converting the other QB, Taysom Hill, to tight end. Now, when a team signs Andy Dalton, it usually means they've given up, but need to look like they're still trying. That was Dalton's role with the Cowboys and with the Bears. New Orleans lost out on the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes, or won, depending on how you look at that. So they quickly re-signed Jameis Winston, and now they will pay quarterback Taysom Hill $5 million to play tight end this season, which is cheap, even for a tight end. But Hill is under contract with the Saints until 2025 and could be cut after the 2023 season, but not prior, since he carries dead cap hits of $28.9 and $23.7 million. I'm old enough to remember, though, when just last summer the Jaguars announced they were signing former NFL QB Tim Tebow to play tight end. So forgive me when I'm not optimistic about converting a super religious white athletic QB to tight end. Hill is an athletic specimen, no doubt. Yes, he's done it all. Quarterback, running back, tight end, even played special teams and blocked a punt. He blocked a fucking punt. Now that doesn't mean converting him to tight end will work. I hope it does, but there's a big difference between being a gadget player and being a full-time starter at a certain position. If a defense is prepared to cover you play after play as a tight end, that's a much greater challenge for Taysom Hill than surprising them when you line up at tight end and are a mismatch because they're caught off guard with their coverage. I'm also skeptical Hill can win in blocking situations consistently if a team knows that's what he's supposed to do. To be frank, Taysom Hill was most effective when nobody on the field knew what his job title was, like a creative director at any given company. And finally, video from Deshaun Watson's deposition has been made available. In a shocking turn of events, people who already thought he was innocent say the video is even more proof of his innocence. And people who already think he's guilty say the video basically proves his guilt.
Did you find her attractive?
That wasn't my intention, sir.
I didn't ask you what your intentions were.
I can't answer that. I have a girlfriend, so that wasn't my intention, sir.
Okay, so you can't answer that because you have a girlfriend.
Because that's not what I was looking for.
Look, I'm not a lawyer. Well, not since I was disbarred in the state of Colorado for filing a motion to incarcerate Pat Shermer for life without possibility of parole. Still get worked up. I tend to believe, though, that when there's 22 different kinds of smoke, there's some sort of fire. The kind of fire I saw nearly burn down Mile High Stadium. But I'm not going to use an out-of-context clip
I really didn't do shit.
to decide how I feel about this one way or the other. I don't feel good about a man with 22 sexual misconduct / abuse / assault allegations getting the richest contract in the history of sport. It doesn't really sit well with me. I also think there's a chance Watson never plays a snap, at least for this season, which is a big reason the Browns have yet to deal quarterback Baker Mayfield. If I'm being honest, I did not like the way Deshaun Watson answered the questions in these video clips, but you can judge for yourself.
So what I'm trying to figure out, Mr. Watson, is why you would post something on Instagram suggesting that you were in New York City when you were instead in Houston getting a massage.
On the advice of my lawyer, I assert my rights under the Fifth Amendment.
Now that that's reaffirmed your beliefs about Deshaun, I will say this. The Browns were the feel-good story of the NFL back in 2020, and now they're the complete opposite. All it takes is adding one alleged sex criminal. It's like if the Braves signed Harvey Weinstein to fill the void left by Freddie Freeman, making this a classic case of he said, she said. She said, 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 and she said. And like I said, we've got Big Dick Patreon shout-outs for the only Raider fan I love, Guillermo Contreras, upping to $25. Logan Jane Key with the $10 a month donation, and Luke Birch. Thank you guys so much.